fans, I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a white lie. I'm not going to tell you a partial lie. The truth is, this is likely the worst season y'all will have in the last 5 years.
Shut up the Bills! It's the house game! It's the house game!
Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Call me now, listen. Everyone play their position. Buffalo got a tradition. They say we tripping. They better get out our way. Top of the table, we flipping. We on a mission. Got an unstoppable team. Continue to follow your dream by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Mafia up in your city, time to get gritty. Screaming and yelling, we bugging. Look at the red and blue.
This is an MVP year for Josh Allen. As an MVP voter, I said this last week. Josh Allen, he looks like an MVP. When you vote for MVP, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm one of 50 voters, you look at a couple things. Who's the best team in football? Who's the best player on that team in football? What do they look like as the best player on that team in football? And how much talent is around that best player on that best team in football?
Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast. I'm your host, Little 2K. As you can see, I am by myself. My co-host, Beyond 716, he had an emergency tonight, so he will not be joining us. However, I'm here. You got to deal with me today. We're gonna talk. We're gonna get more into the Bills off season. We're gonna talk about some targets and free agency. We're going to also talk about another school that has a ton of guys gearing up to be drafted in the upcoming draft this off season. University of Oregon, the Ducks. Bringing on a guest, my man Hythology was on last year. He spoke a bit about Oregon prospects last year, as well as just a bunch of the prospects that were around and available. He's a wealth of knowledge. It was a good episode last year, so hopefully we can duplicate that and get you guys some information. Before we get into the guest when he arrived, take this off your wish list, Bills fans. Max Crosby signed a 3-year extension with the Las Vegas Raiders for $106.5 million. Now, how much of that is guaranteed? I'm not sure. I didn't follow up with that because I was a little heartbroken, because that was the big splash move that I wanted to see the Bills make, was going out and getting a guy, star edge rusher like Max Crosby. The 36.5 million a year is it's an offer. It's definitely an offer. So he's gonna be there, and so we got to take that off the wish list. But I am gonna get into some of the prospects that I do, not prospects, but some of the free agents that are available this year that I would like to see us take a shot on. And I'm just gonna go with the defensive line right now, and then I'm going with defensive line, and then we'll deal with corner and wide receiver and things like that next week. I don't want to jam pack too much right now. But it's not really a long list. But we'll get into that. I gotta add two more names here, and I'm really gonna focus my attention on just a couple of guys. But I'll talk about all of them. But really gonna focus my attention on a couple of gentlemen that I would like to see the Bills make a concerted effort to go after. Um, and we'll see what happens. I hopefully, um, we end up getting at least one or two of these guys because I don't want to go to the draft, uh, needing to kind of fill every hole that we have. I want. Okay, all right, we're not doing that. I don't know if you heard that, but ad popped up in my background. But anyway, so before we get into the names, let's talk about the Bills' financial position. The Bills currently, at this moment, are a little over $10 million uh, in the hole for the salary cap. Um, but with a couple of moves, like what I did, I ended up clearing 41 million, 41 million and some change. The way I got to that number was I restructured Josh, Ed Oliver, Dion, Connor McGovern, and Spencer Brown. Vaughn took a pay cut, and yeah, Vaughn took like a $8 million pay cut. Um, and that got me to 41,278,000 and some change, right? Now with that, I re-signed two of our two of our players that went to free agency. I re-signed Ty Johnson and I re-signed Mac Hollins. I re-signed Ty Johnson to a 2-year, I want to say $5 million deal. I did this on over the cap, so let's see. Yeah, Ty got 2 years, 5.3, and Matt got um, basically 2 years at 6. Uh, maybe it's a little more than that for those guys. Maybe it's not. I think both players like it here in Buffalo. I would like to keep both players. I think they bring a level of utility as well as energy. That like their energy. They both guys have great energy. They really fit the fan base. They really fit the franchise. So I'd like to keep them both if possible. All right. So with that, that leaves us right around 37.853,000 some change, right? Um Now out of that money, there are some guys that I would like for us to go and target. And so like I said, we'll only talk about the defensive line targets right now. So for the edge, and for the record, I don't think edge is a major issue for this team. I really don't. I think edge is, it's pretty. Yeah, man, it sucks we couldn't get Matt, but it is what it is. Yeah, Garrett's going to get 40. Miles Garrett's going to get $40 million, folks, and I don't know if we're in the business of paying $40 million for a defensive end. So anyway, where are we at? All right. So the targets that I have right now for the defensive end position, I got Khalil Mack, Preston Smith. I mean, those guys we already knew because their names would get passed around in the news a little bit. Um, Clavon Chason, Cover One mentioned him, so I thought it was noteworthy to mention him as well. I think he's an excellent speed rusher. So I'm with that. Uh, my one of my favorites is Matthew Judon. I think Matthew Judon, um, definitely a veteran. He's a little older. I think he's like 32 or whatever. But let me see. Let me make sure. Uh, I'm at defensive tackles right now. Go back to defensive and go to edge. And yeah, Judon's 32 and a half. So right around the age it was when we got, I think that was the age when we got Vaughn, when he was like 32 or 33 or something like that, but whatever. Uh, I don't know that Matthew Judon is done. I think Matthew Judon um, had a year robbed of him because of an injury, and then the following season, he recovering from the injury. A lot of times, guys have down years recovering from that injury, so it is what it is. Um, but Matthew Judon's another one. And I have two more names that I mean they're gonna be low budget signings, but I think they could offer quality depth. Derek Barnett, I think he was with the Panthers most recently. I think he's with the Panthers most recently. Make sure. And the other name was, let's see, I think I got it. It's Brandon Graham. I'm not talking about him. Wow, Jerry Hughes is still like still available. All right. All right, Derek Barnett. There we go. All right, Derek Barnett was with Houston. He's 28. He's about to turn 29. Um, he's just a guy a rotational guy in Houston that they brought in, a veteran presence. If you want to kick the edge position down the road another year or two, you go get a guy like Derek Barnett. He's gonna come in. He's gonna give you, 4 or 5 sacks for the year, and that's that. It's a body. Um, the other name that I had was Joe Tryon of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former first round pick. All the measurables that you look for in a um, defensive end, this guy has it. So let's get right into him right now. Well, not get into him, but let's take a look at his RAS score. Right. So see the arm length is 34 inches. You love that. 6'5", great height. Arm length mixed with arm length plus that height. He's the typical edge rusher the Bills like to go for. Got it when he gets his hands up, makes it difficult for the quarterback to throw through certain windows. Right under 260, that's fine. Vertical, like explosion grade's great. Or they say it's good, whatever. But if you get into his speed is, you know, 40-yard dash pretty good for an edge guy. Even though this was like 3 or 4 years ago, I still think Joe Tryon, may have some more to take. Maybe just needs a change of scenery. And who knows? We've added some new coaches on the defensive line. So we also brought in Ryan Nielsen, coach that was with the New Orleans Saints. So, I look at a guy like that and say maybe Buffalo's a place where he can come and, kind of resurrect his career. Um, kind of how Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer did. They were in their respective teams prior to us, was Cleveland and Green Bay. And, Micah was a guy. He was a guy. I don't know if Micah was a starter. I think Micah just was on the team. He might have been a starter in the slot, but um, anyway, they get to Buffalo. I think Poyer was like getting ready to get cut from or got cut from the Browns. Like, no disrespect to the Browns, but if you get cut from the Browns, man, it's probably Toronto Argonauts for you after that. I mean, it's just not many teams worse than that Browns roster. But anyway, you you bring in these two guys, Hyde and Poyer, and they turn into the greatest safety duo the Buffalo Bills have ever seen in their franchise. Um, the top 10 safeties for a good 3-4 year run, and I'm not saying that Joe Tryon comes over here and turns into a 12 sack guy, but he's young. I mean, the guy is, what is he? 20, 25, 26 years old, about to turn 26. All the measurables fit. I don't think he would cost a ton of money. I mean, pretty sure we could probably bring him in. I don't want to say going to cheap, but you bring him in, you give him a 1 year prove deal, kind of how they did Taylor Rapp. You say, listen, I know things didn't work out for you at your last go round, but on your last team, but you come here, you play well. Maybe this turns into something long term. And we rewarded Taylor Rapp 3 years. Uh, whatever, it wasn't a ton of money, but he got 3 year deal. Now he's a starter. He's probably going to get extended. He's probably going to be the starting free safety going forward with Cole Bishop at the strong safety spot. But um, this could be a reclamation project where Joe Tryon comes in and he plays well and he turns into a stud. I mean, there's other guys too like Josh Uche. Um, I know Dante Fowler's name was thrown out there. He's a little bit older, but I think between like Clavon Chason and Joe Tryon, like those are two guys I would look at and say, you know what? Whichever one of these guys, I might even bring them both and say, you know what, I'll bring them both in, and it's one spot between them, and whoever wins out in camp, that's where it's at. That's what we do. But we'll see. But those are the defensive end positions that I was looking at. Now move on to D tackle. That list is a lot shorter because I expect the Buffalo Bills to go the um into the draft and address this. Uh, why do I have this delay? Is it? Hold on. Cut some of this other stuff out. Maybe that's it. I had to cut some of this other junk out. But anyway, yeah. So the list for defensive tackle is going to be a lot shorter. Um, hopefully, the Bills will go and into the draft and try to address that position with young draft picks. But I still did put together a list of guys, and I know that these names are not the ones that you probably heard. Um, But it is what it is. Well, I mean, you definitely heard T.R. Tart because we tried to get T.R. Tart last year. So T.R. Tart's one of them. Another guy I like, who I wish the Buffalo Bills had drafted, is Keandre Coburn. He started out, I think he was a undrafted guy, went to the Chiefs. The Chiefs signed him, and it didn't work out with the Chiefs. He got cut or traded or whatever to the Tennessee Titans, and now he's a free agent. Kid's still young. His nickname when he was in Texas was Snacks because he's a big boy. Keandre Coburn's like 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", around 330, 340, big dude. And, big two gapping, run stuffing, big body, so that's kind of why I like him, why I like him to fit in this Buffalo Bills rotation. We do need a guy like that, somebody that's going to be next to Ed Oliver and not really allow him to get double teamed as often as it happens. Um, and then the final guy is Bobby Brown Jr., not the singer, the defensive tackle who most recently played for the Rams. Bobby Brown, another rad score guy that, when you see it, you think to yourself, man, if we could, get the most out of this guy, we might not even need to take another, we won't need to invest as much in that defensive line going forward. He's still young as well. Came out the same year. as Joe Tryon, so still a young guy. Arms share, a quarter under 35, which you love that. 6'4", 320, big dude. Vertical is 33 inches. That's pretty impressive. You can get 320 pounds in the air, 33 inches. That's impressive. So explosion is it's great. Speed great is great. Um, and the shuttle, the three cone, the agility, uh, how well he moves his feet. Above average, very good. So I think he's a perfect prospect. I think if the Bills can clear $30 million um, in cap space, I would probably overpay for a guy like this and I don't know how much an overpayment is, but I would overpay and hopefully you get the most out of this guy. Hopefully, he gets an opportunity to play on a better team, better defense, maybe a better scheme fit. Who knows? We would have to see it, but definitely the uh, like the idea of a Joe Tryon, Bobby Brown addition to this defensive line rotation, and then obviously supplement, guys in the draft and get guys and bring them in, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and if you're wondering why I cleared as much as I did, it is because DK Metcalf requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. They also released Tyler Lockett. So they're basically blowing it up. But yeah, man, listen, DK is the perfect fit for what we need in Buffalo. Buffalo has been looking for a boundary, deep threat, ball winning wide receiver. And DK Metcalf is that. We had an opportunity to draft DK Metcalf, and Bills fans, you already know who we picked. Not our brightest moment. But the opportunity presents itself now. I think he has 2 years left on his deal, and he's, gonna want a new contract. And I think it's better if you get him, you extend him now. You get to it now and get it out the way. You give him an extra 3 years or whatever it is, and give him a little pay bump, and you lock that down. DK Metcalf is a specimen. Um, the guy is fast, strong, physical. Doesn't have the greatest hands, but it doesn't matter because we have guys that can catch the football at a high efficient rate. So we just need you to go downfield and win, and make the middle of the field a little less congested for the rest of our guys. So you get a DK Metcalf here. Uh, you sign these young gentlemen that myself and other Bills content creators are talking about, and you go into the draft really just needing to get a corner, some depth at safety, and a couple of depth pieces here and there. Maybe you take a chance on a Deion Walker because you already have a Bobby Brown there. You take a chance on a Deion Walker, and he sits behind Bobby Brown and Daquan Jones, and you have your one tech pair for the future. Deion Walker also plays on the edge, guys. So, um, yeah. So um, listen. The chat is open. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everything. All these different whatevers, all these different sites, all these apps, man. Listen, if you really, really, really want to be a part of the show, I would welcome that. Definitely, type in the chat. You got questions, anything, hit me up. Or we got one here. What's good? What's up, Chris? would like to add an edge in free agency and the draft, who would be your dream 1 and 2 at D tackle? Like, in the draft. Okay, in the draft. Who? First would be Alfred Collins out of Texas. And maybe I'm about to bring my man Heith on in a second. He's backstage right now. That would be number one. I just think like Collins, man. He's the 6'5", came in bigger than I expected. I thought he was going to weigh in around 320. Dude came in at 332. 34 and some change in the arm length. I mean, Alfred Collins is it for me. He's big and athletic. Second will probably be Derek Harmon. I'm not the biggest Derek Harmon fan. I don't think he's that good against the run, but Heith is gonna set me straight because he knows all when it comes to these Oregon cats. So without further ado, Heith, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, it's good to be with you, Will.
It's good to be with you too, man. It's been a minute, but I'm glad we were able to link up again.
Yeah, me too. I had a lot of fun last time I was on.
Absolutely. You shared a ton of knowledge.
Yeah, my deal is I'm the addicted to Quack editor. That's the Oregon site on SB Nation, and I do all the film review for all the opponents that Oregon plays. So, for a long time that was Pac-12, and I had 12 teams to look at, and now Oregon's in the Big Ten, so it's 18 teams to look at. Oh boy, I'm shoving half again as many teams into my brain. It's oh my god. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too.
I'm sure it is a lot of work, man, and we appreciate you getting that work done because last year, you shared a bunch of information with us, and we were just kind of spitballing questions at you. Now this year, you got a lot more information that you could potentially share. So we're gonna start off with the obvious. I think shining star from the draft, the draft eligible guys from Oregon and Derek Harmon. Real quick, I think I watched some of Derek Harmon's All 22 from 2024 and 2023. I was more impressed with 2023 than I was with 2024. And I don't really know how good he is against the run. Like, I feel like he's not really the run stop. I feel like he's not really a run stopper. I feel like he's kind of more of a 3 technique than he is a 1 technique. And the Bills need a 1. But I can't deny his ability to get after the passer, to get after the quarterback. He is disruptive. He is athletic. He is a penetrating defensive tackle. He measures out. All the measurables are there. Everything you want if you're an NFL GM looking for a defensive tackle, you get it out of Derek Harmon. I just don't know how good he's going to be standing up against the run in the NFL. What can you tell me about Derek Harmon that will either set my mind at ease or verify some of my hesitations?
Well, you're definitely the first person I've heard say you like the 23 film more than the 24 film. I mean, it was just, I watched the 23 film, when he was at Michigan State, as I did this whole project to like familiarize myself with the Big Ten teams. He's, I just thought it was pretty clear, like he just got stronger when he was at Oregon. I'm not saying that as an Oregon fan. I mean, I just thought it was pretty clear. And there's a lot of a lot more folks, than me who are saying the same thing. Here's sort of the context. It was a scheme change. He went from a 4-down front at Michigan State to a 3-down front at Oregon. Oregon runs a mint defensive structure, which is, Dan Lanning brought over from Georgia and Alabama. And the whole the whole point of the mint defensive structure is that it kind of sacrifices efficiency run stopping to play the pass, which might be sort of what you're seeing. It's not a run killer defense. It's a spill and kill run philosophy where they're just trying to clog up interior run lanes and spill the run to the outside. And then, the OLBs or the safeties or whatever, come down and kill the run. Whereas in 2023, in the 4-3 under defensive structure they're running at Michigan State, which they've been running that, since the dawn of time, the interior defensive linemen, schematically, just their job was to kill the run up front. And so, you would expect them to be doing that. I'm actually not super familiar with the Bills defensive structure. So beats me. I can tell you, he's familiar with both kinds of defensive schemes, and whatever you ask him to do, obviously he's capable of switching up schemes. But like you said, the premium value for a defensive tackle is interior penetration, and getting after the quarterback, especially in the modern NFL. The other context that I guess I would suggest, just from sort of my wider knowledge of college football, is my perception of the draft availability for defensive linemen this year. The 2025 NFL draft is, I think there is a lot more scarcity for high quality edge players than there. I think there's maybe 3 very high quality edge rushers in this year's draft. I think the very high quality guys are Abdul Carter out of Penn State, Michael Williams out of Georgia, and James Pierce out of Tennessee. I think there are some. I think there are a bunch of other guys who are also good edges, but they're kind of specialists, like Shamar Stewart, and some other guys are they're very good, speed rushers, but they can't set the edge. And there are other guys who are very good, heavy ends, who are excellent, run stoppers, and they're 5-tech kind of guys, like Jordan Birch out of Oregon is an excellent example of that. But they're not really speed rushers, kill the quarterback, kind of guys. So they're kind of specialist edges. And then there's other guys who are sort of, like JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State, or Jack Sawyer, who are just sort of, I don't want to say that they're middling, but I don't really think they're elite. I think, after number 3, which my cutoff is Pierce, I kind of think the defensive end class in terms of eliteness really drops off, or just you hit specialists. Whereas on the other hand, I think this defensive tackle class is deep, really deep. I think you have to get down to maybe guy number 18 before you hit a guy where I'm I'm not in love with that guy. Oh man, there's a lot of really good defensive tackles in this class, to the point where it's almost you can wait. You can wait on taking defensive tackles. And you can wait and come back around in the 3rd round or so and still pick up some good defensive tackles, that'll meet your needs, in my opinion, just fine. Now, I'm not here to talk you out of taking Derek Harmon and Jamari Caldwell. You should definitely take Derek Harmon and Jamari Caldwell. You'll be very happy. You should take Jordan Birch. You'll be very happy with those 3 guys.
Listen, Caldwell's on my short list.
Caldwell's a mind blower because that guy's big. He's kind of got a sloppy body. When I was watching, because he transferred over to Oregon from Houston, and when I was watching his Houston tape, I swear to God, that guy breaks your brain because it looks like an optical illusion, a dude that big and kind of sloppy coming at you that fast. You're your brain can't handle it. You're this can't be real. What is happening now? And then he sacked you, and while your brain is trying to handle that unreality. It's just crazy. Like, he moves like a cat. It's crazy. Anyway, like, I'm not trying to talk you out of taking a defensive tackle. I'm just saying the defensive tackle class is like an order of magnitude deeper than the elite defensive end class. Like, man, if you got a first round pick, use it on defensive ends. That's what I'm saying, man.
Well, okay, so I'm trying to find the cutoff here because I'm looking. All right, now I'm gonna run through some names, and
Okay.
you tell me when you hear a guy's name that you're like, I don't know.
Okay.
All right, obviously we got Mason Graham, Derek
Yeah.
Harmon, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Tyleek Williams, Alfred Collins,
hmm
T.J. Sanders.
Keep
You
going,
like
man. I love all those
okay?
guys.
All right, all right. Deion Walker at defensive tackle.
Deion
Okay,
Walker at yeah, no, out of Kentucky. Yeah, no, I like him. Keep
yep.
going.
Okay. Omar Norman Lott, Tennessee.
He's fine. I liked him at ASU too.
Okay. Ty Robinson, Nebraska.
I like him better than about 3 guys you just named. Keep going.
Yeah, and he was a monster at the combine.
Yeah.
Darius Alexander. I mean, he's like the darling now for
Yeah.
a defensive tackle. Shamar Turner.
Like, is the Florida State guy, right?
No,
No, that's Joshua
Turner.
Farmer. Sorry.
Yeah, that's Joshua Farmer. I was yeah, he's coming up. But Shamar Turner's out of Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, Texas A&M. He's a little light. I don't know if I'd use him as a defensive tackle.
Yeah, I feel the same way kind of about TJ Sanders. Like TJ Sanders is like 290. Like they list him at 290. I'm not sure what he came in as.
I don't know.
gotta
I
look
might
at
use Turner as like a 4-eye. It kind of depends on what your scheme is.
Okay. Yeah, got you. Since Tyrod, JJ Pegues from Ole Miss.
He's good. I like him.
I like him too. We talked about Joshua Farmer. Jordan Phillips, Maryland.
Oh yeah, I like him a lot. Well, I really liked him in the college game. I'm not sure how well is because he was a super veteran. He was their starter for 5 years.
Nice.
I'm not, to be honest, this is. I'm not sure how well I can project him into the NFL. It's sort of my college bias talking. The thing my blind spot as a college evaluator or college film watcher is I tend to fall in love with guys who are veterans because that they've been playing the game for so long that their technical development is so high. And then a lot of times guys that I fall in love with who are like that, they go to the NFL and they get smashed by guys who are super talented. You know what I mean? Like, and I worry a little bit about that for a guy like that.
Okay. Aeneas Peebles, Virginia Tech.
That's my line.
Okay. All right. I'm not a big fan either. I think he's a little too small. He's short, small, and he's not really explosive. That's how I see him.
There are a couple of guys that I like above that. Both of the Georgia guys, Stackhouse and
Stackhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna bring up Stackhouse. What do you think about C.J. West? Indiana.
I would use him as an end instead of a tackle.
Okay.
Like
Cam Jackson,
kind of
Florida.
like Jordan Birch, like a big end.
Yeah. Cam Jackson, Florida.
To be honest, I'm not real familiar with this game. I don't have an answer either way. Sorry.
Then that means that means the folks listen. If Hype don't know him, he ain't.
It's just because I've had to do so much Big Ten watching, like the SEC. I'm just less familiar with.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some SEC guys that for like other projects I wind up watching because I watch guys who are transferring to Oregon. That's how I've sort of like picked up some dudes from. It's just like there's no overlap with Florida, so I missed that guy.
Yeah. So I got a comment here. I don't want TJ Omar Ty Turner have to get size with the amount of nickel we play. Okay, all of them are the size. Yep, agreed. Yeah. So, like, I know you said that you're not familiar with the Bills' defensive scheme, but we play a base nickel. We're a four
Mhm.
two five team, um, and we also play a style of defense where we're not really concerned with stopping the run. We're more concerned with not allowing big run plays. And we're more concerned with limiting explosive plays, whether that be a pass down, whether that be an explosive pass or breakout run plays that go for a ton of yards. We like to stop those and kind of make you work for every blade of grass and force you to make good decisions. For 8 or 9 straight plays to get
Yeah.
points. So with
So you should
that,
definitely take
uh,
Derek Harmon. There's another guy who's Big Ten film that I watched a lot, who's probably not going to go super high as a defensive tackle that you might be interested in, and that is an Iowa defensive tackle whose their style of play fits exactly what you just described, like to a T.
oh
And
no,
that guy's name is Yaya Black. Um,
I knew
like
you were gonna say him.
why? Oh.
No, go ahead. No, because
Yeah,
I
that's it.
took a look at him. Yeah,
Yeah, like exactly what you described is how Iowa plays football. And I think that for whatever reason, like I think his draft stock is he's probably going to be like, I don't know, third, fourth round. But I think yeah, it's exactly what you just described.
now with that being with that defensive scheme, we have Ed Oliver.
Mhm.
I'm sure you remember Ed
Oh
from
yeah, yeah.
Houston.
I love watching him at Houston. He was the
Yeah,
first G5 5-star.
yeah, that's our guy, man. Ed has been inconsistent. I think that's a nice way to put it.
Mhm.
Since he's been in Buffalo, and a lot of it has to do with how much he's double teamed. So what we want to do is find a guy who is not just big and forces forces an offensive coordinator to focus 2 guys on him because of how big and powerful he is. Also, we want that person to be explosive. We want him to be the type of player that punishes the other team for double teaming at Oliver so much.
Yeah.
That's been our Achilles heel. Has been the interior pass rush. I think we do like when we want to stop the run. Like we will. The Bills give up. This is how Buffalo's defense is. We'll give up. We'll be like bottom 8 in yards per rush, but then be top 5 in all the short yardage run stopping
Mhm.
situations. So whether it's third and short, fourth and short, all of those type of situations, Buffalo will typically be at the, near the top of the league. But on a down and down basis, the Bills are not really concerned with stopping the run. They're more concerned with controlling the run and not allowing you to break off huge gains. So, do you still think Yaya would be
It
a fit
I mean,
there?
I'm telling you that's exactly the defense that Iowa plays, and you should take Derek Harmon. And if you I mean, I don't know how much of a value pickup he would be, but the guy who's like exactly the um will punish you for double teaming the big guy in terms of like will then penetrate as like a 3 tech would be Walter Nolan. He's perfect for that. Uh,
He's never gonna fall. He's never gonna.
yeah, well, all
We
right.
picked 30. Yeah, we picked 30. So in the
Okay.
draft, he's
Yeah.
never falling. He's never getting there.
All right.
Yeah, I love Walter. Listen, I loved watching Walter Nolan.
Yeah.
Like that Ole Miss team in general, between Trey Amos, uh, Pooh Paul. Like I mean, they are just Walter Nolan. I love Jared Ivey, even though Ivey's not really good. He's another Jordan Birch
Hmm.
type of end. But I mean, now let me ask you this, because I believe Jordan Ivey. has some untapped pass rush ability. I think he's better than your typical edge setting, massive defensive end. I think if you put him in a 4-2-5 scenario where his number one job is to stop the run, but when you get the opportunity, overpower your tackle matchup and get to the quarterback. I think he has the ability to do that. It stinks we didn't get to see him do anything at the combine, but what do you think? Well, I didn't see. I don't know. I watch. I don't remember seeing him do anything at the combine. But what do you think of Jared Ivey?
Jared Ivey.
Yeah.
Um. I don't know. I only wound up watching a couple of Ole Miss games.
Okay.
The I mean, I don't have any reason to think that I just don't think he's elite. Like I think I think for the unless you're going to get one of the elite guys, I think you're going to be better off like picking up somebody who's already an established player. To be perfectly honest.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Just like the technical development that you need to get the technical development that you need to get past an NFL tackle. I just
You don't really see it in this draft.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I really don't.
Okay.
I mean, I think there are guys who can develop that because I like some of these bodies. Some of the guys who I think are going to go a little bit later, I think can develop into them. Some of those guys that I've watched on other teams, like Nick Skirton and Braden Swinson. But I think they're projects. Like, I don't think they're going to be immediate impact guys.
Yeah, I like Braden Swinson a lot. That's a guy that myself and a few other Bills fans were talking about.
He was a former Oregon guy that I wanted to hang on to, and then he wound up going to LSU, and then he blew up at LSU, and I was like, "Damn it! I told you guys." Anyway,
yeah, he's a dog, man. I like him. I think he gives you a lot of flexibility with how you can use him. He's a guy that you're comfortable with having him on the edge for 3 downs. He can drop off into coverage and take a flat away, or a hook zone. He can take those away, no problem. He can also beat you with speed. I think he does a very good job of using a secondary move after the first one gets defeated. And there aren't a lot of guys in the draft that I've watched that do that on the edge. So I like Swinson a lot. I don't know if I don't know if we'll get a chance to get him because now that they're mocking him in the second round, and we'll see how that works. The draft is kind of crazy, but that's where they got him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people play defense with their draft picks, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to deny their opponents.
Yeah, I'm hopefully we'll do that with the Chiefs this year instead of helping the Chiefs by trading them a guy they really want. Yeah. So all right. So I like Derek Harmon. I like Jamari Caldwell. I like your linebacker, Bassa. I think that's how you say it.
Yep.
What would you say his best role in year 1 in the NFL would be?
Bassa is like I said, Oregon was playing a mint defensive structure. It's a pass stopping defensive structure. And he's a converted safety. He took to that when the scheme change happened. He took to it really well. He was the green dot guy, so the captain of the defense, right? He was like relaying the defensive communications in. So number one, communication skills, intelligence, field presence, that sort of stuff. The understanding the play, playing the pass. He's quick too, so defensive pressures, simulated pressures, blitzes, that sort of stuff. The Now, if you want somebody who is going to stand up to an offensive lineman who's gotten past the defensive line, climbed up to the second level, he's not going to do it. He's not a big guy, and and he's gonna give up some yards after contact to a bruising running back. That's the downside. Like it, basically Oregon's defensive structure, the way that they play the run, he was not really required to do that because, like I said, it's a spill and kill defensive philosophy. So usually it was actually safeties making the tackle, because the run gets spilled to the outside. So and because Oregon had good defensive linemen, the offensive lineman wouldn't climb to the second level, and so he got kept pretty clean. But boy, in previous iterations of Oregon's defense, when he would have to do like traditional linebacker stuff, like neck roll linebacker stuff, man, oh man, it got pretty painful to watch because he's a safety, man. He's not a neck roll guy. But if you need to field marshal on the field, to command the defense and play the pass and stop, like, hey, it's 3rd and 5, knock down that short pass, that little slant pass or whatever. Like, oh man, you won't find anybody better.
No, okay. So basically, he's a perfect fit for the Buffalo Bills because Matt Milano, Boston College, converted safety. Terrell Bernard, Baylor, converted safety. Dorian Williams, Tulane, converted wide receiver. So I mean,
Wow,
all of
really?
these guys. Yeah, he played wide receiver, and I believe he played wide receiver in like high school, but he
Didn't
also
see that very
played.
often.
He also played a bunch of. He played a bunch of like he's an athlete.
Yeah.
Just not like for whatever reason the coverage part hasn't um hit home yet for him for Dorian Williams. But I mean heck of a player. Like he's a see ball, get ball linebacker. Like I said before, athletic, plays very fast. He's been a demon on special teams, but we need we're gonna need a Matt Milano replacement in a few years. He's going to be 31 this year. He's had 4 or 5. Had about I think the last 4 years, 3 of them he's been pretty banged up. So um, at some point you have to move on. I like Basha for that role to play next to Terrell Bernard, or to be a depth guy that comes in to replace either Bernard or we have a couple other guys. Joe Andreessen. I'm sure we're gonna bring in Sean Dolak from University of Buffalo as well. So we'll have linebackers, but you can never have enough. And I think um, with the way that the kickoff rule is and all of these different things, where they're demanding basically that, teams are going to have to run the football or, return the football. You're going to need more linebackers. You're going to need more uh, box safety type bodies where you got a guy that's running maybe a 4.4. He's 6'2" and 210, 215 pounds, but, hits like a ton of bricks. So I like Bassa. I'm hopeful that he's going to be there. Um, but let's. I know I
For
really we
for
really
other
didn't talk a lot.
linebackers though, I can let me there's a couple comments I can make on a couple of other guys. Um,
Okay,
I've just from watching film on a couple of other dudes that I've seen rated. I've seen a couple other guys that I have also watched film on that I think I've seen other NFL draft evaluators where I think those draft evaluators are kind of wrong on them. I think so. Notre Dame has a linebacker named Jack Kaiser. I think
Kaiser. Yep.
I think he's being. I've seen some draft evaluators put him pretty low. I think he should be much higher. I think that he's will be very valuable. I think he's got a complete skill set, and he's. I think he diagnoses plays really well. I think that's super valuable. Um, UCLA has a linebacker named Carson Schwessinger who got like a
Yeah.
million tackles last year in 2024, and so for some reason I've seen a bunch of draft evaluators put him really high as a linebacker. I think that dude is a total mirage. I don't think he's a particularly or I don't think he's a super talented linebacker. I think those tackle numbers are a mirage. It has to do with it would take a really long time to explain, but it has to do with the way that UCLA's defense they lost all their defensive linemen, and Chip Kelly, who was the UCLA coach, and then he decamped to Ohio State because he basically just quit. He recruited way too many linebackers and not enough defensive linemen, and so the new staff, Sean Foster staff, had to invent a new defense. Like they literally invented a new defense that had never existed on planet Earth before, and it involved linebackers swarming around like a hive of angry bees, and where the tackle would just sort of come out of nowhere. And Schlesinger, like he wasn't actually like good. He was just the surprise like linebacker that would come out of nowhere to tackle you. Like
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So it's a mirage, is what I'm saying. Like I think those numbers, are phantasm, and I think I you put him in a traditional defensive structure, and I'm not saying he'd be lost or anything. It's just like I think those numbers would sort of disappear on you, and the people are getting fooled by just stat watching. Um, there's somebody else that I want to talk about. Oh, Cody Lindenberg out of Minnesota. I watch a bunch of Minnesota film because it's a Big Ten team. If I guess you told me the Bills are the opposite of this, but like that guy is a monster as a run stopper. And if you have a defense where you're really, really hungry for that, that guy'd be great, but like you can't play the pass at all. So if you needed that, like he'd be a liability. That's it. That's all I know about linebackers.
Okay. Well, so Iowa doesn't have like you don't like the what's the guy from Iowa, Jay Simon?
Oh, is he? I'm sorry, I didn't know that he was available for the draft. I thought he was coming back.
Nah, last time I checked, he was hold on, I'm gonna pull up the list now. I thought he was definitely still coming out. Paul Daddy Stutzman, uh
That's been
Cody
fine.
Simon, Jack Kaiser, Jay Higgins. Jay Higgins, I'm sorry,
Oh,
that's his name. Jay
Higgins.
Higgins.
Oh,
Yes.
Higgins is good. I just
Okay.
I don't have anything to add. He's as good as everybody says he is.
Okay. Kobe King.
Uh, King. Um, sorry, I'm blanking.
All right, so then that means he's not good then because
Oh,
he's in
no,
Oregon.
King. He's Penn State, right?
Yes.
He's fine.
Okay. Um
Oh, Mascarenas Arnold. Who was at Oregon State, and then he went to USC for a year.
yeah.
I think he's one of these guys where I liked him because I think he was very technically sound. But if you watch him on film, you will just see that guy is tiny. Like he's too tiny to play football. I don't know
What do
why.
you think about Nick Jackson? Another Iowa
Uh,
linebacker.
oh, Nick Jackson at Iowa. I'm sorry, I don't really have much of an opinion on him.
All right, there it is. All right. So I love this kid, Danny Stutzman. Um,
Yeah, he's good.
yeah, 6'4", 240. I mean, he killed the combine as well. Uh, how much? How good do you think Jack Kaiser can be? Because they have him going in like the 6th round. But how good do you think he could be?
I think he's really undervalued. Like I wound up watching a bunch of Notre Dame tape for weird reasons. And I it was just the key. Okay, linebackers and running backs are the two positions that I will admit that I have the hardest time evaluating or projecting for their NFL um, potential, because like what they're doing is between the ears, right? It's not,
Right.
it's less about their physiology and it's mostly about like instantly diagnosing what the dude on the other side of the line of scrimmage is doing. So the running back's got to figure out, should I go to this gap or this gap? Should I lean my weight this way or this way? And the linebacker is sort of doing the same thing, but in reverse. And what I was just consistently seeing out of Kaiser was just processing the play like a half second faster than I am accustomed to seeing even the best linebackers, process the play and just get there faster. Um, which I, which I thought, that's the skill par excellence of a linebacker. Now, I don't know. Maybe he gets to the NFL and like every linebacker has that ability, and so who cares? I'm just saying, I thought that was, I don't see that very often. A dude who just like processes the play way, way, way faster than everybody else.
Okay.
And then on top of
All
that,
right.
he had all the physical abilities that you need to be a high level linebacker.
All right. We're gonna go to the offensive side of the football. Not because I don't want to, I don't um, believe that any of the other prospects are good. I think the slot corner that you guys have coming out of there, I can't remember his name right now, out of Oregon. What's his name? The cornerback.
There's Oregon sending its entire defensive backfield is losing all of them. So
Oh
any of
wow,
them. Reed, Muhammad, Johnson. There's another guy named
Muhammad. That's the
Johnson.
one. Yeah, yeah, Jabbar
I
Muhammad.
also
That's
thought
the
that
guy.
Oregon had him playing as outside corner, but I spent the entire year saying he should be as a slot corner. And every
Right.
Oregon fan told me that I was crazy, that he should be an outside corner. And I was like, no, he should be a slot corner. So, Whittle, when you said slot corner, that made me real happy.
Yeah, he's small, man. He's small, and
I said,
you just don't want to put a guy like I think he's small, but I think he's tough, and I like that about him. I think he's got good lateral quickness. I think he's got excellent eyes.
what
Um,
what he's really good at is going back to his Oklahoma State days and his Washington days. What he's really, really good at is mirroring. Like staying on
yeah,
top, mirror, 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 mirror. And what you never want him to do is get his hips wrong, because he can't recover once he gets his
right,
hips wrong. And
yeah,
on I'm in between that and his size, yeah, I just think he's perfect as a slot corner. And what I don't think he's perfect at is trying to cover a big outside receiver who can burn you down the sideline. And I
right.
was just all over when I was reviewing his Washington tape, which like that, that guy like stuck a dagger in my chest over and over at Washington. But anyway, like was that guy would get burned, on occasion going down the sideline, or he'd get his hips wrong in relation to the sideline. A guy would take an outside step, he'd follow, and then he'd get burned. When the guy would break the post.
Side
And
counter, yep,
yeah,
yep.
and I was just like, "Dude, make this guy a slot corner," and like, I don't know, nobody listened to me. And then you said it, and I was like, "Oh, Whittle, man, I love you."
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Sometimes I get it right, man. Sometimes I get it right. Um, okay. So let's go. Um, let's go to the offensive side. I know I know that he didn't really perform on the combine as well as he wanted to. But Taz is getting some like, oh, Joey Bosa got released. Wow. Okay, that's news. That's news. Please, Buffalo, don't sign him. Joey Bosa is I think he's a great player. He's just never available. He's always hurt. Always hurt. So yeah, just I'm good. I'm good. But thanks, Derek. I appreciate you bringing that up. Um, but I wanted to talk about your off two three actually There's
We're just
another
at
guy.
12 dudes to the combine, man. We'd be here all night talking about dudes.
Right, I know, but I just want to. I try to focus. I'm just gonna try to focus on um Tez Johnson because we do need a receiver. Jordan James because we will be looking at running back as well at some point in this draft, and the tight end. I think his name is it Ferguson?
Yeah, Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, he's going under the radar, and I don't understand why. I think, and I don't understand why, and
I
I'm
know
glad. Why?
His blocking is a B minus. I spent
Yeah.
all year. I spent all year writing him notes. I mean, I don't think he reads them, but being like, Terrence, I've been charting you for 4 years now, buddy. Like, if you want to get drafted up high, you need to go from being, I mean, he was about like a C plus blocker when he started out, and he like inched up to like a B minus blocker. And I was like, okay, Terrence, your project this year is to become at least an A minus blocker. Come on, buddy, let's do it. And like, he just never did. And that's why.
Yeah.
But everything else, like what you're talking about, I'm sure I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry to put your words in your mouth, but I know what you're talking about, dude. Yes, everything else, like just the clutch catches, just like the magic hands, like he's got glue coming out of his fingernails stuff. Like, yeah.
Physical, intentional route runner. I love watching him, man. Oh, I'm hoping that he's like sitting there in like the fifth, and Buffalo just says, "Oh, we'll just take Terrence Ferguson, and we'll sit him with Dawson Knox, and we'll teach him how to block, and we have our 3 tight ends going forward." Because I really don't want to bring back a lot of the guys that we have eligible for free agency this year. I would like them to stay free agents and test the market and not come back to Buffalo. I feel like the Bills need to get younger. They need to get more cost control contracts, and and get guys that we can develop and kind of protect ourselves from some hostile negotiating tactics of some of these players.
Isn't that what the Giants said about Saquon?
Well, the Giants actually didn't have a replacement for Saquon, which was the real problem. That was their problem. Yeah, they said a lot of things about Saquon. They just didn't have anybody.
The Giants said a lot of things about a lot of things.
Yeah, and they just didn't have anybody to really step in when Saquon got out of there. So I am looking at Jordan James as a possible potential, maybe one day, James Cook replacement. Now, I know the top end speed is not
James Cook and Jordan James. I don't know about that comp.
Well, I don't think they're the same player. But I do like the fact that Jordan James is a solid pass blocker. I like the fact that he is a capable receiver, and I like that he's
definitely that.
I like that he's a patient runner with the football. I like Jordan James. I don't think he's
I love Jordan James.
Yeah, I don't think he's as high end. I don't think he's as high end of a prospect as James Cook, but the Bills went to the AFC Championship with Devin Singletary as running back, and I think Jordan James is better than Devin Singletary. So if that's what it comes to, if it's got to be Jordan James and Ray Davis and Ty Johnson in the backfield, so be it. That's fine with me.
Let me ask you. What is up with the Bills' offensive line run scheme? Like, are y'all good at running the ball, or do you need?
Yeah, we're a top 5 offensive line in the NFL.
Okay. Well, and Jordan James, perfect for you. See, like, okay, so Oregon, not in 2024, but in 2023, Oregon had Bucky Irving and Jordan James, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually really interesting to watch Bucky Irving and Jordan James at the same time, because I'm sure you've seen Bucky Irving in the NFL now, where he obviously, what was he like, rookie of the year, or something like that, like everybody, appreciated what he was doing for a team that like was not really a great rushing team. Well, I'll tell you, that was what was interesting about watching, Bucky Irving at Oregon. Oregon is a team. I don't know what people's perceptions of Oregon are. I often find when I'm talking to people about Oregon, they have like some funny ideas about what the Ducks are. For 25 years, what Oregon has really prided itself on is that it's a running team, that and not like a 3 yards in a cloud of dust, kind of running team. Cause you know what 3 yards in a cloud of dust gets you? 3 yards. Like it is a serious, like elegant running team. Oregon is seriously trying to get about 7 yards every time they carry the ball. And what I mean by that is not like 0 yards, 0 yards, 0 yards, 40 yards, and it averages to 7. I mean, seriously get 7 yards. And so they, are serious about the offensive line, serious about their run scheme, serious about defensive manipulation, and getting, creating the hole for the running back to get 7 yards. And the types of running backs that they typically get are running backs like Jordan James, who understand the running offense and understand the hole that they're supposed to get to, understand the defensive manipulation, get the 7 yards that the offense and the offensive line has designed for them. And once they've gotten that, okay, now it's time for you to do your magic, to the extent that you've got some magic in your shoes, you juke that linebacker, make that safety miss. Now it's time to go get the extra yards. And Jordan James, is great at that. He is great at being a cog in the machine. Understand the offense, understand the defense, do your magic after you've gotten what the offense has gotten for you. Bucky Irving was actually kind of rare in Oregon football history in being the other kind of running back, the I'm going to make something out of nothing kind of running back, which usually Oregon hasn't needed because they're a serious running team. And it was sometimes it was magical. Like sometimes he would, oh my God, Bucky, what the hell was that? That was crazy. That was amazing. But a lot of times It was frustrating because it was like, Buck, what? Come on, man. That was not the hole. The hole was there for you to go get 8 yards and you just went and got stuffed, So then he goes to what was it? Tampa, right? Was where he went.
Tampa Bay, yeah.
Tampa could, definitely use, Bucky Irving. Jordan James is not going to get that for you. He doesn't have that high end speed. He doesn't have that improvisation. He doesn't, have those things. What he is, cog in the machine. He's, yeah. So if what you're saying about the Bills is that they're a well-oiled machine and they need a good cog, yeah. He's like a perfect cog. Like he totally gets it,
man. Yeah, the thing about James Cook though and this offense is like he's the one that really provides the explosion. We haven't had the ability to get downfield in with big plays because we lack we lack top end speed at wide receiver.
Don't you have Josh Allen?
Yeah, but Josh Allen can't throw. Like the guys that we have, they're not downfield threats.
That's the problem.
It's Matt. I don't know if you remember Matt Collins from college, but I know you remember Keon Coleman. He's the other guy, and Dalton Kincaid. Like neither one of those guys are really. They can do.
Did you pick up Keon Coleman from Michigan State, or he was at Florida State before?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but he's not. He doesn't have that top end speed. He ran like a 4.59, 4.6 as a 40, and even Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, nice player, but not the downfield threat.
Yeah, that's not his. Yeah, that's not his. He's right. Like he'll get you 10 yards every time, and then he'll top out at 10 yards.
Yeah, so we don't have that guy, and that's honestly, I was paying attention to Tez Johnson for
Tez is
that
a lot
fact.
faster. That combine number's a lie. Like that's fake news, man. Like I don't. He just got married. Maybe that's it. Like that he's way faster than that. Like I watched every snap that guy took at Troy before he transferred to Oregon. Then I watched every snap that he ran, at or played at Oregon. That combine numbers, like I don't know, he got had a funny takeoff or whatever. Like that number's a lie. I mean, I'm not saying they mistimed him or whatever. I'm just saying like he's not.
He's fast.
I know he's
probably.
That
He's
guy is
probably
he's
gonna
the
run a
fastest human
4.4.
being on any field that he's ever on. Like that, do not trust that number. Like
I think he's gonna run. I think he's gonna run a low 4.4 at his pro day.
yeah.
I think he'll run somewhere around there. I mean, some guys just they're
look at his
not
3-cone
good
drill.
at running the 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look at his
exactly.
3-cone drill. Like
Yeah.
there's no such thing as a human being that can run that 3-cone drill but is like, oh, I bet he's actually really slow somehow. Like, no, there's a problem with the testing. Either the, yeah.
I just think some guys don't train. I just think that everybody doesn't train correctly for that event, and that's a lot of you get guys that'll run slow 40s, and then like Josh didn't run a super fast 40, but I mean he has no problem.
Yeah,
He has no problem
if you
getting out
need
and
big
going.
plays, I mean there's air yards and then there's yards after the catch, and then there's guys who can generate both, and that's Tez. Like, oh my god,
Okay.
yeah, that guy's the fastest guy in the field. Like, oh my god, I could send you like a million.
Are you worried about the size? Because he came into.
Oh yeah, you should definitely be worried about the size. Yeah,
that's
like
that's
every person listening to this podcast is bigger than Tez Johnson. Like,
right, and
the
that's
women who are listening to this
man.
podcast are bigger than Tez Johnson.
Are probably bigger than Tez Johnson. Exactly.
I mean, it's Buffalo, man.
I mean, yeah, if he's in Buffalo, he'll pick up some weight. That's for sure. We'll stick him. We'll stick him in. We'll stick him in Barbell and feed him wings for a couple months. He'll be fine. But yeah, that's what worries me. 5'9", 156.
I mean, he's
like
never been seriously hurt. I mean, like I said, I've watched every snap that he took at Troy. I watched every snap that he took at Oregon. He takes big hits. Like everybody every defensive player who's ever lined up against him has been like, I'm going to be the guy who takes this, this little squirt out. Like every single guy, is convinced that like, I'm going to be the guy who neutralizes this threat. And so that, they go all out trying to hurt. I'm not joking about this. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but like every player he plays against tries to hurt him, and no one has ever hurt him. He's like Spider-Man, it's just like somehow being lighter, he just bounces off of them. But like, I don't know, the NFL's different.
Yeah, it's just 2 years in a row though. Like I thought Troy Franklin was going to run in the low 4.3s. He ended up running the 4.41, I think, or 4.45, somewhere around there. I mean, and it didn't matter because he still burned his 4 touchdown in the playoffs on a deep post. So I do think that
Troy. I could never get, to tell you the truth, I could never really get a good handle on Troy Franklin because I never really understood what his hands issues were about. I never had like a solid feeling about Troy, in the sense that like there were times that I felt like he was the best receiver that Oregon ever had, and literally he holds records at Oregon. And there were other times where I'm just like, Troy, why can't you catch the ball? And then you watched him in that first year in the NFL, and I feel like Broncos fans felt the same way about him. It's just like I can't get a good handle. I feel very solid about Tez Johnson. Like that guy never gave me a reason to doubt about him at all. The only thing that I ever worry about him at all is like, well, which dude is going to break him in half?
Yeah.
But like in terms of his hands, his route running, his burst acceleration, top end speed, ability to make dudes miss, like the dip and rip stuff, both, the short stuff in the yards after catch, but also like the ability to to just like take off and burn folks, on the skinny post, like, oh man, like his vertical acceleration his vertical leap, to get up. Like he plays bigger than he is, like in terms of going up to get vertical balls. Like, you know, he catches balls like an outside receiver does. Like, man, I mean, I got like a million film clips, like because I had to. I'm the film reviewer. Like, yeah, I mean, he's really impressive. He's a really impressive guy. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are turned off by his size for that
yeah,
reason, and he's going to wind up making them regret it.
yeah. I mean, I think he's going to go at some point in day 3, probably the 4th or 5th round. And
I mean, how many guys did Julian Edelman make regret passing him up?
a ton, a ton, a ton. Julian was, but he was playing with the GOAT,
Yeah.
Tom Brady, when he was making it happen. But I guess same thing can be said with Taz. If Taz gets to Buffalo, he'll be playing with Josh Allen. So I expect
I watched Josh
big
Allen before it
things.
was cool. Oregon had a 2017 game against Wyoming in which they went to Wyoming, and so I was doing
Mhm.
film review on Josh Allen before anybody knew that guy's name, and I was writing up this article. I was like, nobody's talking about this kid, but yeah,
And he ended up being a monster, man. That
yeah,
guy's an absolute demon. All right. So last before I get you out of here, and I got to get me out of here too. A lot of flack is going Dylan Gabriel's way,
yeah.
being size, and he's smaller. Does he have an NFL arm? Give me your best pitch for Dylan Gabriel. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be a good player in the NFL.
I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL too. All the criticisms are true. Like he really
Okay.
is. He really is that short. And he really does when he throws the ball down the field, he really does need to muscle up.
Okay.
His deep downfield delivery is not a quick smooth release. He can throw the ball deep downfield. Oregon, which, don't get me started, I will be talking for a long time about it and it won't be happy. Oregon in 2024 did not have him do it nearly as often as they should have. But at
Right.
Oklahoma and at UCF before, he was very eager to throw the ball downfield. He's happy to do it. Yeah, he's got a big windup because he's got to muscle up in order to throw it. He does have the arm to do it. It's not, there are dudes that I've seen who have noodle arms. Like, I know what a noodle arm looks like, where he just simply does not have the power to push the ball
Mhm.
downfield. Dylan Gabriel has the power to push the ball 60 yards downfield. What he doesn't have is the smooth, instantaneous release to just see it, fling it. In order to get that down, you have to give him the pocket protection to, and then it'll go.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now, the upside is every other quarterback skill that there is. Like every other quarterback skill that there is, he is a veteran. Just like Bo Nix, went to obviously I'm making the Bo Nix comparison for a reason, because he was Dylan Gabriel broke Bo Nix's college record for most starts as a college quarterback ever. He's an old man. He goes to the NFL as an old man. He has a ton of experience. He's seen everything. He's not intimidated by the moment. He has all the scrambling ability in the world. He's a good runner. He's tough as nails. He instantly, he transferred to 3 different schools and instantly became the leader of that team. Does not have a difficulty adapting to the team, taking command of the team, forming good relationships, instant connections, with guys. Name a quarterback skill, he's got it in spades. It's just the two that people instantly go to. Well, are you 6'4" and can you instantly fling the ball down the field? Yeah, no. Well, he doesn't have those. Well, those are pretty big deals, Dylan. You know?
Right. Right. Um, would you say he's mm, like two? Like, would you compare him to Tua?
Yes. It's just
Okay.
it's just that unlike Tagovailoa, you know, I mean, like obviously he's a left-handed Hawaiian. You know, the comparison's a little too facile. But in terms of like command of the game, you know, that I mean that's that and ability to make plays out of the pocket. You know, if he needs to, but is not excessively eager to break the pocket. You know, that's what I appreciated about watching his game at Alabama was that like I have this ability, but I am not like, oh, the first sign of difficulty, I'm gone, you know, kind of deal. Like there's a maturity to his game that, oh man, I just don't see in college really all that often from guys who have the athletic ability. Like most of the guys that I see who have the athletic ability are way too eager to use it.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
or the other way around that you know that they just don't have the ability and they just take sacks. So I mean Dylan Gabriel,
Yeah.
that's the other thing, you know, check out that number. Check out the number of times he's been sacked. For a guy who's played what is like 62 games, he's been sacked like 6 times, you know.
Pretty
He knows how to,
impressive.
yeah.
He knows how to get rid of that football. You got to do like I think that was something that Josh had to learn too. Was you got to live to play for another down, man. And sometimes you got to smoke it down in order to in order to get the in order to get the most out of the drive. Sometimes you got to smoke one of those downs. Um, Heights all day. Is that how you say it?
Hifliday. That's how I do it.
Hithliday. 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 I appreciate you coming back on. Again, I am going to extend you another invite as we get closer to the draft to go into um a little more of a conversation about uh it's a little more analytic a little more statistics and analytical driven conversation about some of these wide receivers, some of these defensive tackles, some of these and some of these prospects. I mean, we're really going to be focused on the receivers, the corners, defensive tackles, and wideouts, but not a ton of them because I think, like you said, man, after a certain point, it's just when the guy you get in the third at the end of the third round is basically the same guy you're gonna get at the top of the fifth. So,
Yeah,
you know,
you know, sounds like fun. I have my own charting system. I have my own,
right.
my backgrounds in statistics. There's a bunch of, I either know everything about a guy or I know nothing about a guy. I wish I had the time to chart everybody, but I don't. It sounds like fun.
Real quick question. I
Yeah.
got two quick questions before we go. These are some things that I heard on Twitter. I just wanted to know if they made any sense to you.
Okay.
There was a young man on Twitter that said that he thinks Mason Graham is a better prospect than Abdul Carter.
Well, they don't play the same position. The well, I don't play the same position. Uh, that's a really tough comparison. Um, Here, I'm going to edit that person's comment and instead make a different comparison. The guy he plays next to, Kenneth Grant. I actually had to make that comparison. The interesting thing about Graham versus Grant is that uh, uh, Kenneth Grant is like a higher upside player that would make big, spectacular plays. And then I don't want to say take the play off, but would get neutralized a little bit more. Whereas
Mhm.
Mason Graham was much more consistent. Mason Graham would make an impact on every single play. Whereas Grant would make a spectacular impact like every 4 plays. Um, Abdul Carter as an edge rusher would make a spectacular impact, or he would be getting held, and Big Ten refs would allow the hold to happen.
I mean, I really could sit here and talk about this all day, man. But before I go, question: Tyleek Williams.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
I think he's got a huge upside,
Yeah.
at not just as a run stopper, but as a pass rusher in the NFL.
Yeah. I
What
agree.
do you think?
He's
Okay.
definitely he's the complete package. The crazy thing about Ohio State is just how little they rotate on the defense. Their 4 defensive linemen, Williams, Hamilton, and the edge guys Sawyer and Tuimalau. I
Mhm.
mean, played pretty close to every non-garbage time snap for
Right.
them, and I mean, I'm not going to say they never got tired, because they did, and I'm not going to say they never rotated, because there was some rotation, but I mean, it's way less than I see for just about any team, and also they pretty much Ohio State pretty much only has 2 peers at their like super elite recruiting level, which are Georgia and Alabama. And I've studied those 2
Mhm.
teams as well. And those 2 teams, like their secret of their success is those teams are like a conveyor belt, where they have like the guys behind them. It's like 5 stars after 5 stars after 5 stars
Yep.
for them.
Yep.
And their whole deal is that they rotate, like they have, they give the backups substantial playing time so that they're ready to play the next year. And Ohio State doesn't do that. It's just like, Tyleek Williams and Ty Hamilton were like playing every single snap. So when those guys are going to the NFL, which is what's happening right now, it's like, I don't know who the guys behind him are going to be. It's like, who knows? But the the upside for that for y'all, NFL fans, is that like, oh shoot, that dude has like 4 years of experience where he played every single rep, and and boy, that guy, talk about a veteran. That guy's the Dylan Gabriel of defensive tackles.
Right. All right, man. As we talked about the offense, talked about the defense. Um, Give me an Oregon prospect that we haven't talked about, if there is one, that you think is going to end up going late in the draft, or possibly undrafted, and ends up being really good in the NFL.
Ooh, that we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about. Who haven't we talked about? Give me a second. We talked about just about everybody, didn't we? Oh, we didn't talk about the offensive line.
Right.
Josh Connerly is projected pretty high, right?
He's going in the first round. Yeah.
Okay, so that means we have
Nobody
not
cares about
talked
the
about. We haven't talked about a Johnny Cornelius.
No. I'm thank you for bringing him up.
Okay.
No, we have not.
Well, it's pretty much the one guy we haven't talked about then. So it's the only way that I could possibly answer your question. Or I guess Trayshawn Holden is the only other guy that we haven't really talked about. I think a Johnny Cornelius, if he's not projected super highly, I definitely think he could be a pretty high quality tackle with a long career. Simply because like the dude never gets hurt. Like he's just been a solid contributor for his entire career, and has always been very, very technically sound. Like he basically played himself into this position from the FCS ranks, which for a guy to do that, like he basically came out of nowhere. Like he didn't come from one of the football factory high schools. Like he didn't come from a football factory FCS school. Like he bootstrapped himself to this position through sheer like competence, and which that's the kind, like I can't make guarantees or anything, but I would not be surprised if that guy had a very long NFL career, because that's what his trajectory is. Trayshawn Holden is is another guy where I wouldn't be surprised if that guy plays better than his NFL Combine numbers sort of indicated. Like that guy, I mean, frankly, he was at Oregon for 2 years. He was at Alabama before that, and like would disappear from the field and then you would need a big play, and he would come up with like a 95-yard touchdown run, and you were like, "Oh, thanks, Trayshawn. I I don't know why you disappeared for all this time." And then you had the spectacular play. Maybe we should have been throwing you the ball more often. Which, man, I can think of a bunch of NFL guys who were like, they were kind of nobodies in college, and then like suddenly they explode in the NFL. Again, I can't make guarantees, but it's the kind of dude where like I wouldn't be surprised or that surprised, if he turned out like, oh, I guess you were sort of being misutilized. Yeah, those are the only two guys we haven't talked about. So there's only two possible answers that I could have for your question.
All right, brother. Listen, Heisler Day, man, I appreciate you coming through once again. Another excellent episode with you. Imparting the knowledge that you have on on the audience here. We will be revisiting a conversation with you later on. I want to I'll hit you up. I'll send you a message
Yeah.
and see what your schedule's like over the next few weeks. The closer we get to, when we get to the draft. But thank you again, man. Is there anything that you want to plug before you get out of here?
Oh, sure. I am the managing editor for Addicted to Quack. It's a website. We cover everything about the Oregon Ducks. We also cover all the Oregon's opponents. And I like to say that we probably cover your team better than your team's site does. So check us out if you're a Big Ten fan too. I also host a podcast of our own, of which I am recording an episode in an hour, so I should probably get some tea or something. The name of that podcast is It Never Rains on this podcast. Whittle, it's been great talking to you, man. I'm looking forward to the next time.
All right, brother. Thank you for pulling up, man. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya. Take care, man.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Another one is in the books. I'm gonna take it down now. Listen, I appreciate everybody coming through. We got 250 viewers right now. Beyond get better soon, man. I hope that situation takes care, gets taken care of, and we'll be looking to see you next week. We are going to continue to talk free agency over the next few weeks as guys get signed and guys start moving around. We'll definitely have the updates, and we appreciate you coming through. Once again, this is the Coast to Coast podcast from the Do Champions Network. Thank you all for showing up, and I am out of here. Y'all have a great night, have a great weekend, and go Bills.